curious about the answer you would give to this question. What is it that you are currently participating in? An action that you're involved with, an attitude that you've given yourself to, a vice that you've allowed to come into your life. Whatever, however, what is it that you would say, man, I hope my kids never take this path. You know what? I hope they never give themselves to this. I hope that would never. I hope this is never known of them. I hope they just don't participate in that. I hate what it's done to me. I don't want it to do it to them. What is that? And if that's how you feel, why are you still doing it? We hear this phrase sometimes, do as I say, not as I do. That's so unbiblical. That sign behind me right there, I'm standing up here at our One Kids building. And we have that sign. On the other side of that sign just says One Kids, and on this side is when they're leaving, when the children are leaving, or either when the parents have came to pick up their kids and they're leaving out, and you can see it says, train up a child in a way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That's written from the book of Proverbs. Proverbs was written by a man named Solomon. Today's Bible reading records Solomon's son by the name of Rehoboam. And it records how Rehoboam ignored wise counsel. And the result of it was, as king, his kingdom was divided. And what kingdom he had gave itself to idolatry. Rehoboam ignored wise counsel. Just yesterday's devotion was talking about how Solomon needed to practice what he preached. He wrote that book of Proverbs. That book of Proverbs, he says 23 times in 22 verses, the exact phrase, my son. My son, this. My son, don't do this. My son, He compiled the book of Proverbs. God allowed him to compile it for us all, but he comprised it with his son in mind. 23 times in 22 verses, he says, my son. 45 times in 41 verses, the word son is recorded. He cared about what his son would do. The problem is, he didn't care enough to live it out before him, so his son, in following his steps, would follow the counsel of God. You see, available to Rehoboam was the wise counsel of the old men who, when Solomon was hitting it on all cylinders for God, he was following their counsel as they was leading him with wisdom from the Lord. Instead, he forsook that. In fact, chapter 12 and verse 8 says, he forsook the counsel of the old men which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him. You read of the counsel they gave him, and it was fleshly counsel that would appeal to his flesh. And once again, we see the apple don't fall far from the tree, for that's what got Solomon in trouble. They appealed to his pride for him to let people know who he was. And ironically, if you read Proverbs chapter 3, one of the my sons of Solomon was to tell and to give others truth, but to do it in mercy. And that if he showed mercy to others, others would be loyal to him. It's interesting, isn't it? How he bypassed his father's counsel. By the time Rehoboam took that kingship, you understand it was the end of Solomon's life. Those proverbs would have been available for him to ignore. But I say, you train up a child in the way he should go, and he won't depart from it. Train up a child in the way he should not go, and they're liable to do the very same thing. Let's learn from that. God bless.